All right, this story is legit hilarious. As the term goes, rent free. Caitlin Clark living rent free in so many people's heads that the WNBA Finals can have this classic, game or several classic games, just be a classic WNBA Finals overall. And people are still talking about Caitlin Clark somehow. And the guy who talked about Caitlin Clark in the Minnesota Star Tribune, when you look at his history, it makes it extra amusing. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Patrick here. These are an unforgettable WNBA finals, and we didn't need Caitlin Clark. The Lynx and New York Liberty showed Friday and have shown all series that this new era for the WNBA is not about a single player. Oh, he's he put it down, threw the gauntlet down. It's not just about Caitlin Clark, y'all. And that seems to be like capturing this spirit of resentment that came about toward Clark this season and her popularity. And I've said it a million times. I do think some of her fans were too disrespectful to other players in the league at the beginning and in the process touting her. But at the same time, your brain is completely broken if you cannot realize that Caitlin Clark is the change agent, the catalyst for this explosion in popularity. And many of Caitlin Clark's fans, who I'm talking to right now, right, are those who are helping the WNBA grow. Like it's two positive stories at the same time. Caitlin Clark is a once in a generation phenomenon who's an incredible basketball player who also changed the way we perceive women's basketball and the WNBA going forward. And the WNBA is growing as in large part a result of that, and fans getting to see how good the players and the product is and was, and the WNBA Finals stands on its own. Of course, without Caitlin Clark. But nobody needed to mention that. That didn't need to be brought up. Who was saying that the WNBA Finals needed Caitlin Clark? And then you look into this writer's history. Well, first, let's look at a section from the piece posted by Correlation. Ridiculous. Clark put more eyes on the league for sure, but she didn't belong on the Olympic team. Whoa. And also could have been missing from the all WNBA first team announced this week if receiving as much attention for her record-breaking turnovers as she did for points and assists. Let's ring the bell for Hater. Heck, I go way back as a Caitlin booster, but without her in sight, the favored New York Liberty and the relentless Lynx have put on an unforgettable finals. And that was only 3 games in the best of 5 going into Friday night in Target Center. Well, of course, the Lynx win Friday night in Target Center. And now we're headed back to Barclays Center for the deciding game in the series. Now, what's interesting to me about that is this guy, Clark fans, the CCFC, they'll get to work and make sure things are exposed. They found his old tweets, and you see, this is from Clark's season. This is the headline I just showed you. But this guy keeps writing that he discovered Caitlin Clark. I'm not really sure the origin of it, but if I hadn't discovered Caitlin in early February 2022, here's another one. I guess he stepped on Caitlin's phone or something like that. I don't know what happened there. There's video of that. Let me find the phone incident. I don't know how it's related to everything else, to be honest. When you're talking about this guy's career and his interaction with Caitlin Clark. Here's the video of, I guess, the phone being stepped on. Where is it at? I haven't even seen this. This is the stupidest thing I've ever talked about, to be honest. But we're waiting for it. We're waiting for it. Somebody, I guess this writer stepped on her phone. That's the story here? Was that a story when it happened? I don't recall. Oh yeah, see, there you go. There it is. She had to pick it up. So, Caitlin Clark's discoverer stepping on the phone there. I don't get this guy's issue. I don't know if that's a bit. Maybe it's a bit that we're not in on the joke when he's talking about and saying these things, like, how he's clairvoyant in discovering her, and all that. I'm not sure the origin story for Mr. Patrick and Caitlin Clark and his maiden voyage and making sure that she is known by everyone else in the world. but he's clearly got her on the brain, right? Like he continuously says he discovered her. Um, and then he says the WNBA doesn't need her. I don't know why, especially a Minnesota-based writer who could be talking about the Lynx right now. Like I've been accused of talking about Caitlin Clark too much in the past or whatever. Uh, um, I remember when I compared her the coverage she got from the Aces, the coverage Sabrina Ionescu got from the Aces to reminding me of the coverage Caitlin Clark got early in the year, especially and throughout the year with the blitzes and the traps and the full court press, which, she was the most blitzed and trapped player in the league by a large margin. In fact, there was a period of time where she was more blitzed and trapped than any team in the WNBA. And when Sabrina was guarded that way by the Aces, it reminded me of that. Not that it was the first time anybody had ever been blitzed or trapped, but it reminded me of that, just the sheer volume of it and the way that they went after her. And I hadn't seen anybody but Clark guarded that way. So I made a basketball comparison. Like, people, why are you throwing Caitlin Clark's name in here? You know, I've really tried my best to both celebrate Caitlin Clark and what she's done for women's sports, women's basketball, me, everybody, the entire WNBA. I've done my best to celebrate that while also celebrating the rest of the WNBA and covering the rest of the WNBA. I'm in Minneapolis right now for the Liberty and the Lynx. I'm headed back home tonight. I will be in Brooklyn for game 5 of the Liberty and the Lynx. It's a classic series. It stands alone. So if you do believe it stands alone, why do you force Caitlin Clark into the conversation? If you don't need Caitlin Clark, why is she there in the headline? Because we know how this works. Trust me, I know how it works. So you can click. I mean, there are germane reasons to talk about her. She's in the news all the time. And there are legit comparisons to make. Sure. Or like when I presented the ratings and I said, here are the ratings with Clark, here are the ratings without Clark, and here's why they're both good, even if these are higher than these. But they're both good because these are higher than they used to be. All that's fair game. This just felt like a way to take a shot somehow while also trying to prop something else up. And then you go and have CCFC dig up the history. I mean, I it's nothing but amusing to me. And I guess it worked in a sense, but that's not the way I would want something to work for me in my career personally.